Hey guys, it is Monday, the 1st of December, and I'm coming at you today looking at Aster for the short, and I'm going to take a look at the updated portfolio here. As you guys can see, all my longs have been either closed or stopped out, mainly because I saw the bearish bias over the weekend and wasn't liking the charts, and I got a couple signals off my charts showing that we were possibly heading towards the downside. So if we happen to reverse this week, I'll be on that side as well. But let's take a look at the journal so far of what's happened. So yeah, last week we talked about the $1,400 gain on Litecoin, a couple of break-evens and losses from last week, and then we have today the close of the Solana long, as the chart wasn't looking too bullish, so we closed it. We'll re-enter if there's some bullish momentum, but as of right now, we're starting fresh with the short on Aster. And as you guys can see, I entered Aster on the breakdown of this level right here. You guys can see this level broken down at about 1.07. Retested it just now, and currently coming off of it. It looks like a little bit of a wedge pattern. You guys can see. I do think we're going to head towards this lower level, towards this Fibonacci. Right there, you can see at 2.6, down to $1, and possibly even retesting down here at about 0.83. We'll see how the chart looks once we get to 9.4, because that's going to be a bounce, I imagine. So let's see how things progress. But as of right now, Aster I do think is going to print nicely. If we look at the profit potential here for Aster on this chart, since this is the chart we're trading, let's take a look at how much we stand to gain at that level. That's about a $7,000 gain, and I will realize about 30% of it. And I think I will shoot for the target 2 potentially. Depends on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin gets to 87K and Aster isn't able to dump aggressively, then I'll be closing the trade at target 1. It just depends on what Bitcoin is doing. So that is the update for Monday so far. I'm probably going to update it again if we happen to hit targets. All right, it is Monday, December the 1st, and I'm going to update you guys on the trade I took over the weekend, or I should say end of last week with Aster. I took a short. The short was taken by that red dot around 0.1009. It was a really nice short, really good entry. During the weekend, there was a lot of chop. We broke down and then went up, down, went up. And then finally, when the week began, which is Sunday night or Monday morning, we actually got the volatility and the volume to come in, which drove us all the way down here. I did cut the trade a bit too early. I cut it around this price right there, right about 9.6 or 9.5. And I should have kept it on to go to target. You guys can see that we ended up going down here. And I have booked a nice amount of profit, and this was a very short trade. I mean, you look at it, it's about 4 days to make how much? About $7,000. So we'll open up here, and you guys can see the realized balance for this account now since last week is $8,000, and we have Aster to thank for that with a 7.1 grand. If I kept it open, it would have been 9, but a win's a win. I didn't expect it to go this low, this fast. Bitcoin kind of caught me off guard. I did expect Bitcoin to go down, but it went down really quick. So this short has played out, and we could possibly short it again. What I'm looking for on Aster is potentially going to be, let me just find the tool, potentially something like this, and then back down. So maybe that's what we're going to be looking towards Aster here, to target lower, maybe down to about 6.4, right? So we might even be breaking this bottom and heading lower. So right now, what we're looking for Aster is a bounce and then a reshort. The tricky part is Bitcoin. And this is a Tuesday update for Aster. As you guys can see, we got the pump up after the dump. So it was a good call to take profits, and now we are looking for possibly a reshort, maybe not even that. So it just depends. The market's looking more bullish, and for things to dump as much as I want them to, down to 6.4, the market has to be more bearish than it currently is. So Aster might actually get a pump up to higher levels. As you guys can see, we had a pump up here previously, and we might get something similar. I don't know exactly to where, but if I had to just eyeball it, I think we would get a pump up to potentially $1.20. But that would be good news, because on the fall back, I think we get a larger move towards the downside. So we'll have to wait and see. As of right now, Aster is pretty much off limits simply because Bitcoin is bullish, and I don't want to short anything while Bitcoin is bullish. So even though this is still a good short at the moment, it's a bad short because of Bitcoin looking bullish. So we're going to skip out on Aster. We're going to remove it from the roster, and I'll stop updating you guys on it. Instead, we're going to be shifting focus to our longs. Let's take a quick look at Bitcoin bleeding. And I do think this is the beginning of the bleed. I could be wrong, but what I'm seeing here is something like this. We come down to 87, somewhere around here, somewhere, 88, 87. And then we begin moving up to the next target, which is, I think, going to be about 97,000. So we're going to go up against this higher time frame trend line, and you guys can see it's about 97K right there with the trend line. So this is the price action I am expecting. Is somewhere here, bounce up, down, up again. And we'll have to see if that actually plays out. We'll see if they follow the squiggles, but as of right now, expecting a bit of bearishness. You guys can see these signals are being printed. They don't always work, but if everything else matches up, they do tend to work pretty well. So we're going to go look for a down move for either Monday or Tuesday. We'll wait and see. I'm also open to the fact that we might actually move up, surprise move up, just a aggressive move up. But as of right now, I am seeing a bit of bearishness. So I did expect Bitcoin to go down, right? I was looking at 86, 87, but then it went all the way down to 83, which is not in my bingo card. So over here, you can see the long I had planned. I entered at 86 on another account and took the long, but it didn't work out, so we're canceling that. Now what we're looking for is potentially a break towards the upside, right, up to maybe 89, and then we'll have to see if we can actually break out. The goal here is if we want to turn bullish, we want to break this downtrend. You guys can see the downtrend. It's been here for a long time. We want to break that downtrend. So if we don't break that downtrend, everything else is going to be shorted. Otherwise, we're going to be trying for longs if we break this downtrend. So we have two paths. One path is up here, back down to maybe 79, 78, somewhere down there. And then the bullish path is going to be something like this, right? All the way up to 100K, because that's psychological resistance, and most likely is going to be resistance because that's where we have it, technically speaking, on the chart. So we've got two paths that we're looking for. Right now, what am I more leaning towards? I think because this was such a deep correction, I'm leaning towards a short, but it doesn't really matter until the price action actually develops. So I'm more biased towards short, but I'm willing to go long if we break this trend line. With that said, other coins I'm looking to long is one of them is Fartcoin. Looks really good. It held up much better than a lot of the alts. It's actually green right now. You can see among a sea of red, we have a couple of coins green, and one of them is .eth. So Fartcoin among a sea of red, it is green. So that's something to pay attention to. We call that relative strength, and potentially it can give us a trade opportunity. You guys can see all the way up to about 50 cents. That'll be a really nice trade. About a 3.6R. We can actually get more out of that if we tighten up the stop without too much risk. So this is one of the coins I'm going to be looking to long, and then Hype I'm looking to short on the bearish side. And I do think Hype can go down to about $20, $21, somewhere down there, but I need a bounce first. I can't really trade this without a bounce, so give me a bounce 30, 34, and I'll trade it towards the downside. So still waiting to see how that develops. Give it Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't know when the trades will come along, but when they do, I'll be ready. But that's the update for Monday, and I will see you guys on Tuesday. All right, it is Tuesday, and here's the Bitcoin update for you guys today. It looks like we took the more bullish path for Bitcoin, which is breaking down the daily downtrend, which is going to set me up for longs rather than shorts. So we're on the long side now. There's a lot of coins set up to go long, and I'll show you guys that once I cover BTC. And what I want to see from Bitcoin now is that since we broke this downtrend, let's zoom out a little bit and see the downtrend that has been broken. I think it still shows on the daily. So you can see, yeah, you're currently breaking this downtrend. It's a very tiny break, and we still have about 6 hours until close. So we'll have to see, but this is a big development right now. And I think if we do get a retrace, we'll have to dive into the 4 hour and see what we can gather. I think we might get a retrace down to maybe 88, 87. I would expect something like this in the next coming days. So that'll give us a nice entry here on the bullish side. And then if we can continue that next week to go up, that's what we're looking for. So right now, I'm not looking for longs. I want to see a retrace. Of course, this can keep pumping, but until it gives me red candles, I can't really enter, because entering on green candles just doesn't end well. I mean, you can check anytime you enter on green candles, things just fall. So I would expect a little bit of a pullback. This could be a lockout move, but I'm more leaning towards we get a retrace, it gives us an entry. Usually the market does give you an entry at some point. So that's what we're looking on at Bitcoin. After Bitcoin gives us the retrace, I'm mostly looking at a move towards the upside to 100K. I think that's pretty much a given at this point, at the very minimum. On the bearish side, if Bitcoin does break down, I would say that 80K down here is still on the table. I would say the odds of that happening is very small, because we did actually break through the downtrend. So if we happen to stop at 89, I would say, okay, it's much higher likelihood that we would actually go towards 80K. So right now, I think Bitcoin is out of the woods for the most part. A simple retrace down to 88, 86 would be completely fine. Or I should say 80, 87. You don't really want to see us go below 80, 87. Yeah, you really don't want to go below this point where the large candle erupted from. You don't want to go below that point, because then it signals major weakness. So that's just a correction in what I should say. Okay, that's Bitcoin. All right, it is December the 5th, and I missed 2 days of recording because there was issues with my mic that I didn't notice until after I checked the audio to edit the videos, and well, 2 days were missed. So here we are on the 3rd, and we have a lot of action that has happened. We're going to talk about Bitcoin because this was the main expectation, is that we would move towards the downside, and with it, a lot of alts would follow. So we're getting that move towards the downside, and obviously alts have been bleeding, as you guys can see on the screen here. Everything is red, and I think the correction will be almost done around $88,000 to $87,000, and then we can go long next week if all goes as planned. So we'll have to wait and see, but this was the expectation for Bitcoin. I'm glad it played out this way because I was biased towards the shorts, which is why I took short positions and one long position, which you'll see on the rest of this video. But that is it for Bitcoin. Pretty simple, played out as expected. Now, if we go to my Twitter, we can see this thread for a Solana trade that I did. I was targeting 132, small trade, real quick, easy peasy. You get that dip to the downside, get the entry, and you shoot for 132. Well, unfortunately, I undershot my target, and I should have kept it open until Bitcoin was ready to flip over, but I didn't. And as you guys can see, I missed a much larger trade. You know, we had a 3R trade there. It could have been a 6R trade. Of course, there's no point in regretting. It's more so a lesson to push your winners to the maximum. I think that's the lesson to take away here, is to simply push your winners. And that is something I have to work on. So there's a trade that just executed. I got stopped out, so I'll talk about that in a bit. But Solana right now, what we're looking for is a retrace. I don't expect it'll keep going. It could, but what we're looking here is for a retrace. A retrace down to, I would call it 132. If we just pull the simple retrace tool out, use that tool, and then, yeah, so 132 to 130, that would be ideal. I don't know if we get ideal. Right now, this is a tricky trade, so we take out these trend lines because we don't really have a use for them. They're not really showing us much. And we are looking for some kind of pullback, though. That's what we do know. So Solana currently unsure about how to enter this, but as time progresses, the charts will kind of give me an indication of where we're heading to. All I know right now, there's no action to be taken. That's all I know. So we have to wait. I'm interested in Solana. I might actually take other coins like Fartcoin instead of Solana. And I've talked about Fartcoin on this channel as well. I told you it had relative strength. And speaking of, I also posted about it on my Twitter. If we go, where is it? Right there. You can see I picked it up at 33. Well, I didn't pick it up. I noticed it at 33. And what happened was it actually ended up going. It ended up going real nicely. So right now, when we look at Fartcoin, we're going to be looking for an entry here. And the entry, I believe, is going to be around 3.3 potentially. And this one might go faster than Bitcoin could retrace. So we're going to go ahead and wait and see if we can get that entry and how Fartcoin reacts. This one might be a fast trade, so we'll wait and see what happens. But that's pretty much simple for Fartcoin. I think we go to 50 cents to potentially $1. No, not $1. 60 cents, 50 to 60 cents. So I think that's the on the table for Fartcoin. It'll be a really nice big trade. It's going to be about a 6R to a nice 4R trade. So I really like that. And it's potentially about to give us a retrace. What I'm expecting, I think, is a little bit like that. A bit of a curve and then a move up. Although if it does come down here, this might be worth a bit of a nibble here because it does end up being around the same price level right there. So I might nibble a little bit once we come down to about 3.3. So that's Fartcoin right there for you. It is December the 5th, and today we're taking a look at Solana. We did end up taking a short here at about 142. You guys can see this short is going really nicely, with Solana actually putting in some red candles to the downside, and our target is going to be around possibly 132, possibly 128, depending on what the broader market looks like. As of right now, I think the lower target is more likely, simply because Solana is showing weakness with the market, and it's showing a lot of weakness. So that's fine. I'll buy at what price I can get it at, whether it's 132 or 128. I'll have to watch the charts and see what signals I can get off of them. But as of right now, we're targeting 128 because I do think Bitcoin has lower to go from 90,550. I think we have about $2,000 left to go to the downside, and that should send it down to about 130, 129. All right, it is December the 5th, and we ended up taking this Fartcoin position at 3.3, and I managed to ride it. You can see here, we got into this position right there, and then we had a nice move towards the upside. Now we're getting a retrace, and I will actually be picking up some more at about 3.1 or 3.0 to ride up all the way up to 50 or 5.6. So we'll have to wait and see how this chart plays out once Bitcoin bottoms. Bitcoin hasn't bottomed yet, just waiting for that to happen before we actually take this trade. But I do like this chart. It's one of the best charts out there that I can see, and I'll show you this position right here. Maybe it's this first one. No, I'm going to have to show you everything. All right, so currently we're up $700 on this position, and it's looking really good still, even though with all this blood, because the entry was so good. But I do expect us to be in the red sometime today or next week. So I'm not gonna get too excited about that profit just yet, but I will once it gets up there, because that's 14 grand in profit. And if I decide to add here, that'll be even more by the time we get up there. So that's Fartcoin. We've got SUI here, and as you guys can see, a trend line has been broken, and it's a pretty major one. So this one's got some interest from me. And again, this is kind of like the Bitcoin play, right? We have to come down around this area for me to even be interested in buying this coin, and we'll target 183 and potentially higher. So that's pretty much, we're going to keep that simple, and pretty much what I'm looking at for currently. This is my roster. We've got Fartcoin, Bitcoin, Solana, SUI, and I think we have one more, and that's going to be Aster. All right, it is December the 5th, and here we have SUI, and we shorted it at about 1.67, and since then it's just been dragging down slowly. It's not moving as nicely as I would have hoped. You can see how Solana has been giving us a lot more profits down there because it's been moving with the market down as the market's been weak. SUI has just been holding up so much because of the BTC pair, but if the BTC pair decides to puke, then obviously we will end up making that profit. And what I've noticed with SUI's price action is it loves to do this thing where it grinds, and then it eventually just pukes huge positions. You can see it there, you can see it there, you can see it here, you can see it there. It just does these moves where it just likes to put in these red candles in succession, one after the other, and then it just gets to the target in about an hour or two. So I'm not worried about it right now. It's very frustrating though to see the market move and SUI is not moving. But like I said, once this pair goes down, then SUI USD will also fall down with it, and it's got a long way to go here. You can see all this space right there. That's a big space right there. So this is SUI, and we're currently up about $920. By the time we get to target, it should be about 4 grand in profit, which is really nice. So there you go. That's what we got for SUI. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video for this week, and that's pretty much what I've got for you here. By the time we actually hit all these profits, we should be at about 121 grand, not including Fartcoin. With Fartcoin, if we end up getting to the top target, it should be around 135 grand, and that'll bring the account to a 35% increase since we started this challenge a week ago. So in my eyes, that's a huge success, and we'll continue to grind and see how long it takes us to get to 200K. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next week.